Something is fundamentally wrong with the way we see reality. Beneath the surface of our daily routines, behind the comforting logic of clocks, calendars, and physical objects, lies a realm that defies the senses, defies distance, and even defies time itself. Quantum entanglement, the mysterious phenomenon Albert Einstein famously called spooky action at a distance, shatters every rule you thought was unbreakable. This isn't science fiction. This is quantum fact. In the world you think you know, a cause leads to an effect, one event triggers another, and space separates objects. You speak, and your voice travels through air. You touch, and sensation occurs in your fingertips. But quantum physics reveals a world where particles can be separated by billions of miles yet behave as if they are still connected instantly. No signal, no communication, just pure, instantaneous connection. It's as though the universe refuses to obey its own speed limit. Now consider this: what if that connection isn't limited to particles? What if the same strange bond extends beyond the quantum level and touches the deepest layers of your being? What if the hidden code behind entangled particles also encodes your thoughts, emotions, even your consciousness? This video will unfold the mysteries of quantum entanglement, not just as a scientific phenomenon, but as a doorway to a profound truth about reality and your place within it. You'll discover how the principles that govern particles may govern minds, how what appears to be separate may only be a shadow of a deeper unity, and how understanding this invisible web may lead to real transformation in how you think, how you relate to others, and how you perceive yourself. Today, you are not simply learning about physics. You are stepping into a forgotten language of the universe, one written not in letters, but in entanglements, a language that whispers, "You are not alone. You never were." Let us begin by unraveling what scientists themselves admit they do not fully understand. A phenomenon so bizarre, so counterintuitive, it continues to challenge the very structure of logic and space. Quantum entanglement is not just a scientific enigma. It is a crack in the fabric of the known world. And through that crack, something timeless is waiting to be seen. In the classical view of reality, two objects exist independently, and interactions between them are governed by forces that travel through space and time. You lift a glass, your muscles engage, gravity holds it down, and friction keeps it from slipping. Every action has a measurable local cause. That's how we're trained to see the world. Clean, linear, logical. Now imagine a pair of particles born from the same event. Quantum physicists call these entangled particles. They are like cosmic twins, not identical, but bound by something much deeper than resemblance. When you change the state of one, the other instantly changes, no matter how far apart they are. You could send one to the edge of the observable universe and keep the other in a lab on Earth, and the connection remains intact. Change the spin of one, and the other responds in real time. No delay, no interference, no signal. It violates common sense. It defies Einstein's own theory that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. Yet it has been repeatedly observed, measured, and confirmed through countless experiments. This is not a metaphor. This is nature, and it's not just theory. In 2022, scientists won the Nobel Prize for groundbreaking experiments proving the reality of quantum entanglement, forever dismantling the idea that particles have properties independent of observation or relationship. In other words, the world is not made of isolated things. The world is made of relationships. To make sense of this, think of twins separated at birth. Decades pass and they live on opposite sides of the world. One day, one of them suffers an intense emotional moment. Grief, love, pain. Somehow, inexplicably, the other feels it too. But quantum entanglement isn't just a metaphor for emotional connection. It's a scientific phenomenon with mathematical precision, measurable effects, and implications that go far beyond coincidence. The truth is, entangled particles do not communicate. They do not send messages. There is no transfer of information. Instead, They behave as if they are one thing, not two. They do not respond to each other. They are each other. And this forces a staggering conclusion. Reality is non-local. That means events at one point in space are directly tied to events at another point, without any intermediary or causal bridge. The universe is not stitched together by proximity. It is woven together by unity. There is no true separation. Distance is an illusion the mind creates to make sense of space. But the fabric underneath, what physicists sometimes call the quantum field, is indivisible. If particles can remain connected across vast spans of space and time, then the boundaries we assume between objects, between events, even between minds may be far more porous than we thought. Now extend this thought further. If your body is made of particles, and those particles interact with others through this entangled web, what does that say about your identity? Where do you end and the world begin? If particles are not separate entities but expressions of a deeper unified field, then consciousness, too, may be entangled. This opens the door to something once dismissed as mystical nonsense. That there may be a deeper layer of mind, one that is not confined to the skull, not isolated in the brain, but fundamentally connected with the field itself. Your thoughts, intuitions, even emotions may ripple across this field like the movements of entangled particles. Instant, unseen, and unstoppable. Quantum mechanics tells us that we live in a probabilistic universe. Until observed, a particle exists in multiple states at once, a phenomenon called superposition. It is the act of observation that collapses the possibilities into a specific outcome. But what is observation? And who or what is the observer? Some of the most respected quantum theorists, including pioneers like John von Neumann and Eugene Wigner, have proposed that consciousness itself plays a key role in shaping reality. That the observer is not merely passive, but participatory. The mind is not a spectator. It is an agent. If that is true, then quantum entanglement is not just a scientific curiosity. It is a mirror reflecting the truth of consciousness. A truth long whispered in the language of mystics, sages, and seers. That reality is a field of connection, not separation. That thought and matter, self and other, are expressions of the same unbroken whole. When you feel an intuitive knowing, when someone's name comes to mind just before they call, when you sense the mood of a room without a word being spoken, could it be that something quantum is stirring beneath the surface? Could it be that the mind, like a particle, is entangled? Quantum entanglement shatters the illusion of separation. It points toward a universe where every part contains the whole, where distance is a mask, and time is a curtain that hides the unity underneath. In this hidden reality, transformation is not about acquiring something new. It is about remembering what was always true. And so we are left with a question that lingers like a pulse in the silence. If particles remain connected beyond space and time, what does this mean for our minds? What forgotten capacities lie dormant in the entangled web of consciousness? What does it truly mean to be human in a universe where nothing is separate and everything is one? Science has long approached the mind as a byproduct of biology, a complex arrangement of neurons and chemical interactions producing thought, awareness, and personality. But as researchers peer deeper into the fabric of nature, cracks have appeared in the foundation of this explanation. The mind refuses to be confined within the skull. Consciousness behaves like something far stranger, far more elusive, and perhaps far more powerful than we have dared to admit. Ask any physicist to name the great unanswered mysteries, and consciousness rises to the top. Despite centuries of study, no one can explain how subjective awareness emerges from matter. The brain has been mapped, scanned, and sliced into countless models and equations, but the gap remains. How does physical structure produce the inner experience of being? Some have begun to suspect that this mystery is not merely a biological one, that perhaps consciousness is not just an effect of the brain, but a fundamental feature of the universe itself. And the key to unlocking this enigma may lie in the strange principles of the quantum world. Quantum biology, a growing field at the edge of mainstream science, proposes that quantum phenomena are not limited to particle accelerators or lab experiments. They are happening right now inside living systems. Some researchers have uncovered evidence that processes like photosynthesis, bird navigation, and even the sense of smell may rely on quantum effects to function. This challenges the old assumption that life is too warm, wet, and chaotic for delicate quantum states to survive. Now, consider what that means for the human brain. The traditional view holds that the brain is like a biological computer. Neurons fire, circuits connect, and patterns emerge to produce consciousness. But this model struggles to explain the full depth of human experience: intuition, memory, inspiration, self-awareness. More importantly, it overlooks one crucial possibility: that the brain may not be generating consciousness but tuning into it. Imagine the brain not as a generator but as a receiver, like a quantum antenna. This is not poetic language. Some quantum physicists and neuroscientists suggest that consciousness might exist at a more fundamental level of reality, and that quantum processes in the brain could be the mechanism that allows us to access it. At the forefront of this hypothesis are scientists like Sir Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff, who have developed a theory known as orchestrated objective reduction, or orchestra, or, according to this theory, quantum coherence occurs within microtubules, tiny structures inside neurons. These microtubules could maintain entangled states, allowing the brain to process information in ways far beyond classical physics. In a quantum system, coherence means that all the parts of a wave function are in perfect synchrony. They are not isolated. They resonate as one. This is not just a mathematical description. It implies a harmony at the heart of matter. And if coherence can happen in the brain, then perhaps the mind is not just a product of neural chemistry, but an emergent pattern of quantum unity. Several experiments have hinted that such coherence is possible. Some studies have detected quantum vibrations within microtubules. Others have shown that biological systems can maintain entangled states longer than once thought possible. If these findings are confirmed, it would mean that our thoughts may operate on principles closer to those governing subatomic particles than to the rigid machinery of computers. This could explain phenomena long relegated to the margins of science. Take collective consciousness, the strange experience where groups of people seem to think or feel as one. During moments of shared focus or emotion, individuals often describe a sense of being connected to something larger than themselves. Could this be a form of macroscopic entanglement? Or consider intuition, that mysterious knowing that bypasses logic. People often sense events before they happen, feel the emotions of distant loved ones, or know the truth of something without evidence. Mainstream science has struggled to account for this. But if consciousness is entangled with a larger quantum field, then intuition may simply be the awareness of information not bound by space or time. This also sheds new light on the role of observation in quantum mechanics. At the heart of the quantum puzzle is the observer effect, the idea that the act of measurement collapses a wave function into a definite state. But what constitutes an observer? Is it the presence of an instrument, a living being, or is it consciousness itself? If the observer shapes reality, then consciousness is not passive, plays an active role in the unfolding of the universe. The boundary between mind and matter begins to blur. Reality may be more participatory than objective. You are not looking at the world from the outside. You are inside it, entangled with it, shaping it through your attention and awareness. This view is not just philosophical. It aligns with mathematical models and experimental results. The more we study the quantum world, the more it seems that consciousness cannot be excluded from the equation. It is not an afterthought. It is a thread woven into the very structure of reality. And if that is true, then the implications are staggering. It means your mind may extend beyond your brain, that your thoughts may ripple through the quantum field, influencing events and connecting with others in ways science is only beginning to understand. It means that transformation is not just possible, it is encoded in the very nature of consciousness itself. You are not isolated. You are not separate. The boundaries you perceive are illusions created by limited senses. Behind them, a deeper order pulses, a quantum order where everything is inextricably linked, and where consciousness is not the end of the mystery, but the beginning. The human mind, long believed to be the final frontier, may in fact be the key to unlocking the true nature of the cosmos. Not as a cold, mechanical machine, but as a conscious, intelligent field of entangled awareness. And so we are brought to another doorway. If consciousness is quantum, then the self is not a solitary island. It is a wave in the ocean of being. And in that ocean, every ripple matters. Every thought carries weight. Every intention echoes across the field. The next step is not to theorize further, but to explore how this knowledge can be applied. If quantum principles underpin consciousness, then we must ask, how can we use them to change our lives? How do we align our minds with the coherence and intelligence of the field? That question leads us forward, not into theory, but into practice. The world we live in responds not merely to action, but to coherence. In the quantum realm, coherence is the hidden code that determines whether particles function in isolation or unify into harmonious systems. It is the difference between chaos and elegance, between random motion and purposeful transformation. And within the human mind, coherence may be the master key, an internal alignment that mirrors the very structure of the cosmos. In quantum physics, coherence describes the synchronized behavior of particles sharing a unified wave function. When particles are coherent, their individual states no longer operate independently. They become entangled, fused into a singular expression of possibility. This is not just about physical proximity, it is about energetic resonance. When coherence arises, a field of pure potential begins to operate. Translating this to consciousness, coherence becomes a profound metaphor, and potentially much more than that. Imagine thoughts, emotions, and intentions not as scattered impulses, but as synchronized frequencies. Just as particles must align to become coherent, so too must the various levels of your being, mental, emotional, energetic, come into harmony for real change to occur. When your inner world is fragmented, when your thoughts say one thing, your emotions feel another, and your actions contradict them both, then you operate out of sync with the quantum field. Incoherence creates internal noise. It disrupts the resonance required to influence reality at the most subtle levels. But when every part of your consciousness becomes aligned with a single intention, the field listens. The universe responds. Science is beginning to affirm what mystics and sages have whispered for centuries, that inner harmony creates outer transformation. Studies in neurobiology, psychology, and quantum biology are showing that practices like meditation do more than relax the body. They shift brainwave patterns, reduce entropy, and foster a state of physiological and energetic coherence. In some cases, these states of deep alignment even appear to affect biological systems in ways that defy classical explanation. Consider experiments involving meditation practitioners who enter coherent mental states. Their heart rhythms become synchronized, brain hemispheres harmonize, and stress hormones decrease. But beyond the physical, something else begins to happen. Their intentions seem to manifest more efficiently. Their emotional stability deepens. Their connection to others strengthens. These are not vague sensations. They are measurable changes in resonance and potentially quantum alignment. Now let us move beyond understanding and into application. Because if coherence is real, and if consciousness can influence reality, then we are not powerless observers of life. We are participants in the unfolding of existence. The following practices are designed not to control the quantum field, but to attune you to it, to bring your mind, body, and awareness into resonance with the intelligence beneath all form. Begin with the coherence meditation exercise. This is not ordinary meditation. Its purpose is synchronization not only within yourself, but between yourself and the quantum field. Sit in a quiet place. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly and deeply. On each inhale, Visualize light entering your body and aligning your thoughts. On each exhale, release any tension, dissonance, or mental chatter. Now bring your attention to your heart. Imagine a soft pulsing light there, growing stronger with each breath. With each inhale, feel gratitude, not as a concept but as a tangible energy in your chest. Let that energy fill your whole being, synchronizing your emotions with the intention to become coherent. Remain in this state for at least 10 minutes. If thoughts arise, let them pass without engagement. What matters is not emptiness, but harmony. The more often you enter this state, the more your system begins to entrain to coherence naturally. You begin to feel the shift, not just during meditation but in daily life. Next is the quantum intention setting protocol. In classical goal setting, you decide what you want and act until you achieve it. But in quantum alignment, intention is not just mental, it is energetic. Your goal must resonate with the field. To do this, it must emerge from coherence, not lack or desperation. Before setting your intention, enter the coherent state through meditation. Then, when your system is calm and synchronized, bring your desire into focus, not as a wish, but as a present moment reality. Visualize the outcome clearly. Feel it emotionally. Anchor it physiologically. Let every part of you affirm its truth, not in the future but now. Repeat this alignment daily, not with effort but with presence. The field does not respond to repetition, it responds to resonance. You are not sending a request to the universe. You are becoming the signal. Finally, practice the entanglement visualization. This technique is based on the concept that all things are connected at the quantum level. When you visualize connection, you activate it within the field. Choose someone or something you wish to align with, an individual, a goal, an archetype of success or wisdom. Close your eyes and see a thread of light connecting your heart to theirs. Not metaphorically, but energetically. Feel the vibration of that connection strengthening. Allow information, support, or energy to pass through the thread. Do not force it. Simply allow it. This practice can be done for healing, for clarity, or to deepen your awareness of interconnectedness. The more you practice, the more tangible the sense of connection becomes. This is not imagination. It is activation. Visualization is not fantasy. It is focus. It is how consciousness shapes the field. These tools are not magic tricks. They are disciplines, technologies of the inner world. Each one creates a shift in your vibrational signature. And the more coherent your signature becomes, the more the quantum field begins to reflect that harmony back to you in the form of synchronicities, insights, and transformation. What's more, when many individuals practice coherence together, the effects amplify. Just as lasers work through collective coherence of photons, human beings can synchronize their minds and intentions to create real change, locally and globally. Collective meditations have shown measurable decreases in crime rates, stress levels, and even shifts in environmental data. Again, not theory, results. You are not separate from the universe, nor are you a passive observer. You are a coherent instrument of awareness. When you fine-tune your frequency, you stop reacting to life and begin to generate it. Your thoughts move from static noise to harmonic influence. Your emotions stop oscillating and begin to guide. Your actions arise not from habit, but from alignment. This is quantum transformation, not as an abstract idea but as daily practice. Not limited to esoteric disciplines, but accessible to anyone willing to align their consciousness. The quantum field is not reserved for physicists. It is your birthright, and coherence is the bridge. The power does not come from technique alone, but from your state of being. All the tools in the world are useless without alignment. But with alignment, even a simple breath becomes a portal to transformation. As you begin to live this way, not occasionally but consistently, you will notice the field responding. People will appear at the right time. Ideas will emerge with clarity. Challenges will resolve in unexpected ways. And most importantly, your sense of isolation will dissolve. You will begin to feel the truth, that you are not alone, that you are not broken, and that you are not separate from the intelligence that breathes through all of existence. There is no need to control, only to tune, to listen, to align. And from that place, everything changes, not because you force it, but because you have become the frequency of change itself. Something ancient stirs in the silence between thoughts. A knowing that you are not alone, that beneath the surface of separation lies a field of unity waiting to be remembered. The illusion of isolation has been our dominant narrative for centuries. The story of the lone self, cut off from others, moving through an indifferent universe. But quantum physics whispers a different story. A story where everything is connected, where boundaries are illusions, and where consciousness flows between us like light through space. At the heart of quantum theory is a revelation that collapses our assumptions about individuality. Entangled particles, though separated by space, remain mysteriously linked. Change one, and the other shifts instantly, as if they are part of the same invisible organism. This phenomenon defies the logic of classical science, where information must travel from point A to point B. Entanglement suggests there is no between, that at the deepest level all things arise from a shared origin, a unified field beneath perception. So what happens when we apply this to the human experience? If particles that once interacted remain connected regardless of distance, what about people? Thoughts? Emotions? Every interaction you've ever had has imprinted itself into the quantum fabric. Every word spoken, every emotion shared, every memory formed. These are not just fleeting experiences. They are quantum signatures woven into the invisible matrix that binds us together. The sense of being a separate self begins to unravel in this light. The boundaries you've been taught to believe in, your body, your identity, your personal story, are local phenomena. But the essence of what you are is non-local. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean pretending to be a drop. This awareness gives rise to a radical form of empathy, one that isn't based on moral obligation, but on energetic truth. If the pain of another can affect you at a quantum level, then compassion is not just kindness. It is coherence. It is the natural outcome of remembering your entanglement with all life. When someone across the world feels joy, and your heart inexplicably lifts, that is not coincidence. When you think of a friend and they call moments later, that is not anomaly. These are glimpses into the deeper structure of existence, where thought and emotion move through the field like ripples on a pond. We have been conditioned to dismiss them, to label such experiences as weird or unscientific. But the science of entanglement is now catching up to the mysticism our ancestors once revered. Quantum awareness reframes not just who you are, but how you relate to the world. It challenges the notion of competition, hierarchy, and isolation. It dissolves the fantasy that your choices affect only you. In a universe where everything is connected, every act reverberates. Every thought contributes to the whole. Every emotion feeds the collective field. Consider what this means for your daily life. If every interaction sends out a quantum signal, what are you broadcasting? When you think negatively about someone, you're not just harming them, you're distorting the field you both share. When you uplift another, you're harmonizing that field. This is not philosophy, it's physics. Now imagine living from this awareness, not as a belief, but as a felt reality. The world changes. Strangers become reflections. Conflicts become distortions to be resolved, not enemies to defeat. Empathy ceases to be optional. Ethics become intrinsic. You don't act kindly because you should. You act kindly because you can feel the web you're woven into. Hurting another is like cutting your own skin. Helping them is like healing a wound in yourself. This is the quantum self. Not isolated, but entangled. Not separate, but singular. And from this place, relationships take on a sacred dimension. Communication becomes communion. Intimacy becomes resonance. You stop trying to control or possess others and begin to harmonize with them. You listen not just to words, but to energy. You speak not to persuade, but to connect. This shift extends beyond one-on-one relationships. It reshapes communities. Quantum awareness creates a field where cooperation replaces competition, where authenticity dissolves fear, where trust replaces manipulation. When people gather in coherent awareness, their collective frequency rises. Creativity flourishes. Solutions emerge. Healing accelerates. This is not theory, it is measurable. Group meditation studies, heart coherence research, and global intention experiments all point to a single truth. Collective resonance is a real force. So how do you live this truth? It begins with intention. Every morning, before stepping into the noise of the world, tune yourself to connection. Sit in stillness. Feel your breath. Expand your awareness beyond your body. Imagine a thread of energy connecting you to every living being on Earth. Not sentimentally, but energetically. You are not imagining this. You are remembering it. Throughout your day, anchor this awareness in simple ways. When speaking to someone, pause for a moment before reacting. Feel the shared space between you. Ask yourself, what are we both part of that's bigger than our roles, our words, our identities? When you're hurt by someone, ask, what distortion in the field are we reflecting back to each other? This doesn't excuse harm. It reveals it. It brings light to the unconscious entanglements that perpetuate suffering. Another way to deepen quantum connection is through mirror resonance practice. This involves gazing into another's eyes without words for several minutes. At first, you'll see their face, their expressions, their body. But slowly, those layers fade. You begin to see something else. A shared awareness behind the form. A field of consciousness looking back at itself. You can also apply this awareness in conflict. Instead of trying to win an argument, seek to understand the frequency behind the words. Often, what people express is a surface signal for a deeper emotional state. Fear, insecurity, longing. Tune into that. Respond not to their mask, but to their energy. This doesn't mean becoming passive. It means becoming precise. Your presence becomes transformative. In relationships, practice harmonic attunement. This is not about agreement. It's about energetic alignment. You can disagree and still resonate. You can hold different perspectives without creating disharmony. The key is coherence. When both people are aligned within themselves, their differences create expansion, not division. And finally, expand this awareness to the planet. The Earth is not separate from you. Its biosphere is a quantum system. Its ecosystems, its rhythms, its frequencies, all interact with your consciousness. When you walk in nature, don't just observe it. Feel its field. Merge with it. Let your nervous system synchronize with the intelligence of trees, rivers, stones. These are not lifeless objects. They are ancient nodes in the web you belong to. Quantum connection is not about retreating from the world. It's about engaging with it more deeply. When you see the field in every face, when you feel the unity behind every difference, life becomes sacred. Every conversation is a portal. Every encounter is a mirror. Every moment is an invitation to return to coherence. This is the invitation of the quantum world, not to escape reality, but to awaken to its hidden structure. The story of the isolated self is collapsing. In its place, a new story is emerging. A story where your thoughts matter, your emotions matter, your presence matters, because everything you are is influencing the whole. The question now is simple but revolutionary. How might your daily choices change if you truly felt your connection to everything else? Across the fabric of existence, something extraordinary is unfolding. A revolution not of politics or technology, but of perception. One that begins within the quantum depths of nature and radiates outward, shifting how we heal, how we think, how we live. The quantum revolution is not coming. It is here, and it is changing everything. Traditional science, built on Newtonian mechanics, offered a world of objects and certainty. a world of solid matter, predictable laws, and separate entities. But that world was always incomplete, a rough sketch of reality's deeper workings. The quantum world shattered that sketch, and in its place, a multidimensional, dynamic, and consciousness-responsive universe appeared. This revolution is not just academic. It is intensely personal. The quantum field is not out there in distant galaxies. It is here, now, in your cells, your breath, your thoughts. Your very being is a quantum event. You are not merely observing reality. You are participating in its continual creation. When this understanding enters your life, not as an idea but as a realization, the transformation begins. Medicine, for example, has already started to evolve. No longer is healing solely about targeting physical symptoms. Energetic medicine, vibrational therapies, and quantum biology are proving that healing is holistic, non-local, and frequency-based. Every cell in your body emits and responds to electromagnetic fields. When coherent, these signals foster vitality. When chaotic, they produce disease. This is why practices like meditation, breathwork, and heart coherence are not spiritual luxuries. They are quantum recalibrations. They shift the informational field around your biology. They entrain your body to higher frequencies of order and intelligence. Take the phenomenon of spontaneous remission. Classical medicine struggles to explain it. But from a quantum perspective, it makes sense. A shift in perception, an emotional breakthrough, a state of unconditional love, these can collapse the wave function of illness. They reorganize the biofield. They transmit a new quantum instruction to the body. Healing in this context is not miraculous. It is natural alignment. In psychology, the implications are just as profound. The mind is not a mechanical processor. It is a quantum interface. Your beliefs, expectations, and subconscious patterns are entangled with your environment. They don't merely influence your choices, they collapse potentialities into actualities. Your thoughts are not passive, they are causal. This means transformation is not about effort. It is about resonance. When you raise your inner frequency, through gratitude, vision, or stillness, you begin to access different outcomes. The quantum field responds not to your desires, but to your coherence. The clearer and more emotionally charged your intention, the stronger the signal. And when that signal matches the field of your desired reality, the two entangle. They meet, they manifest. You've seen this pattern before. Synchronicities that defy logic. Opportunities that appear when you let go. Insights that arrive in silence. These are not accidents. They are quantum effects. The outer world reshaping itself in response to inner order. This power doesn't belong to a chosen few. It belongs to all who awaken to it. Social science is also beginning to catch up. The idea of a separate self, atomized, individual, self-contained, is giving way to a networked consciousness. Studies show that emotions spread through social fields like electricity. That intention, belief, and coherence ripple through communities. One centered person can shift an entire group. One coherent mind can broadcast order into chaos. This is why your awakening matters. Your frequency is not private. It is participatory. Quantum revolution begins within, but its effects radiate outward. Every choice you make, what you think, how you feel, where you focus, broadcasts signals into the field. You are shaping the collective waveform. You are sculpting probability. Now imagine what happens when more people live this way. When coherence becomes culture. When intention becomes communal. When healing becomes a shared act of frequency. The very fabric of civilization begins to shift. Institutions that once thrived on control dissolve in the presence of awakened consciousness. Systems based on scarcity fade in the light of quantum abundance. This is not utopia. It is evolution. We are entering an era where ancient knowledge and quantum science are no longer separate. Where mystics and physicists are saying the same things in different languages. That consciousness is the ground of being. that energy precedes matter, that intention shapes outcome, and that reality is not fixed but fluid. So what are the next steps? How do you begin to live the quantum way? Start by cultivating coherence daily. Your nervous system is the instrument. Your heart is the tuner. When your breath slows, your mind stills, and your emotions harmonize, you become a conduit for quantum intelligence. Practice heart-centered awareness. Feel gratitude not just for what is, but for what could be. This creates a bridge between the seen and the unseen. Next, become intimate with possibility. Spend time in the field of pure potential. Not to escape the world, but to reshape it. Visualize your life not as it is, but as it could be if you were aligned with your highest self. Don't force it. Feel it. Let it emerge from coherence, not craving. Also, refine your language. Words are quantum codes. Every phrase you speak carries a frequency. Speak with precision. Affirm truth, not limitation. Replace "I can't" with "I am" aligning. Replace "I hope" with "I intend." This isn't positive thinking, it's quantum programming. And finally, live in resonance with truth. The quantum path isn't just about manifestation. It's about integrity. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions align, you become a node of coherence in the collective field. You become the revolution. This is the path of the conscious creator. Not someone who controls reality, but someone who collaborates with it. Not someone who forces outcomes, but someone who entrains them. Not someone who waits for change, but someone who becomes it. The old world was built on force. The new world is built on frequency. And this new world is already arriving. Quietly, powerfully, in living rooms and meditation halls, in quantum laboratories and sacred rituals, in moments of stillness where the field speaks. It is inviting you, not to escape life, but to become it more fully, to align with the code of consciousness hidden in the quantum realm, to remember that you were never separate, that the universe is not happening to you. It is happening through you. And now the question arises, silent yet thunderous in its implications. What might become possible if you chose to live as if reality responds to your consciousness? So here we stand at the edge of understanding, where quantum physics meets the forgotten depths of the human spirit. You've witnessed the invisible threads that bind particles across galaxies, and perhaps sensed, for the first time, that these threads also run through you. You've explored how consciousness may not be an afterthought of biology but a primary force, intertwined with the very laws that govern the fabric of the universe. And now, something within you has shifted, not because of what you were told, but because of what you've remembered. The reality you thought was solid has revealed itself to be soft and shifting, sculpted not just by physical interactions, but by invisible forces: intention, attention, resonance, coherence. Everything, from the smallest subatomic particle to the vast cosmic field, is part of a single, dynamic quantum symphony. And you are not a spectator in that orchestra. You are one of its instruments. In every moment, your thoughts are frequencies, your emotions waves, your choices entangled acts of creation. You are not bound by old limitations. You are not confined to linear cause and effect. The field responds not to what you want, but to what you are. And what you are is infinite potential. So the question is no longer whether you are connected. The question is, what will you now do with this knowledge? Will you choose to live as if your intentions shape the field? Will you practice coherence, not just for peace, but for power? Will you remember that when you think a thought, feel a feeling, take an action, the entire field listens? This is your moment, not a climax, but a threshold. Because knowledge is not transformation. Experience is. What comes next depends entirely on how you choose to respond to this awakening. Whether you close the door and return to the world as it was, or step forward and begin to live in quantum alignment. You do not need to have all the answers. You do not need to be perfect. You simply need to begin, to tune your thoughts, to refine your focus, to act with heart, and to remember everything is connected. You are not here by chance. You are the hidden code, discovering itself. If this message awakens something deep within you, something that feels more like truth than belief, then the quantum field has already begun to shift around you. Keep going. There is more, much more. Thank you for joining this journey. And until next time, trust the field. It is listening, always.